chess friends, from the computer you can learn everything about chess, even how to become the best chess player in the world. Chess openings, gambits, middle game strategies and tactics, end game techniques, literally anything you want you can learn and apply in your game to defeat your opponent, even Magnus Carlsen. All you need to know is the right stuff and practice. Computers like Stockfish and AlphaZero are the best chess computers in the world. Today as we unveil an AlphaZero versus Stockfish match, offering a deep dive into chess strategies and tactics that will stun your opponent, and at the end of the video I have a gift for you, so stay with me till the end of the game. To begin the game it's crucial to select the correct move to dominate the central squares. Center squares are known as e4 d4 e5 d5, I played d4, knight f3 known as the Indian game, c4 is the primary move to assert control in the center, afterward, develop your pieces naturally to gain activity in the game, finally. Consider advancing the e or d pawn, to the 5th rank as required, but I played bishop g5, developing a piece first. Alpha played c5, d5 could have been played in the game. If you are a less experienced player and capture the pawn then e5 will target to your pawn. If you know that b4 might not be the ideal move to consider, as moves like a5 knight to c6 b6 and queen b6 can potentially dominate your queen side and weaken your b and c pawns. So if you play bishop e3 to protect the pawn then knight g4 will counter your bishop. Bishop d4 seems logical, but after e5, you might think of playing e4 to target the knight. Black plays solid move d5, attacking to the center and protecting to the knight at the same time. Bishop c3, bishop takes pawn to target this, knight h3 to protect it, queen h4, adding pressure to the pawn. g3 cannot solve the problem because queen can attack it in different way. So bishop b5 check, here takes, castle to protect it, but after d takes e4, rook to d8 secures control over the d file, while the move e5 will be crucial to open the diagonal in front of the king. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. So in this position, I pushed the d-pawn, e5 and en passant aren't possible, as after f takes e6, black gains significant pawn control in the center. So knight g3, and in several moves I developed a big center, but black is threatening to capture the pawn and create problems, which is why I moved back my bishop on d2, castle h3, and my plan is to advance the g-pawn, followed by maneuvering the knight to the f5 outpost via e2, queen f3, and then proceeding with the pawn advances on the g and h files. Rook g1 will utilize the open g file while both the bishop and knight will engage in an assault on the king side. Knight d7 g4 as my knight e8, and after some moves, Alpha played king to h8. His idea is to push the f-pawn after playing g6. Let me illustrate the variation and its implications. In this position, Alpha will thrive with an open rook file and active bishops. Don't assume Alpha's position is passive, it's quite the opposite. So in this position, I played knight to g3, g6 to neutralize the knight entry, queen f3 bishop h4. I retreat the knight to d1 in a snake-like move to displace the bishop, b6 knight e3. Capturing the knight isn't optimal, it leads to f takes g3, forming pawn unity with 3 connected pawns. These pawns will initiate a pawn storm on the g and h files. White will castle, bringing the second rook into play on the g and h files when necessary, so bishop g5 bishop e2, capturing the knight isn't the best move. Let me show you why. Queen takes e3, the diagonal will become accessible and advantageous for white. a6, since the pawn is protecting the knight entry points, we will advance the pawn to break the structure. Black opts to attack on the queen side with b5, recognizing fewer opportunities on the king side, while white concentrates on the right side of the board. Takes h5, queen h6 is a threat to launch an attack along the h-file with the rook after opening it up, so queen f6 queen h6. The queens confront each other in a fight while both kings remain in a static position, almost like a spectacle. f6 queen backs rook ups, pawn takes g6, queen takes pawn, and we will throw our final punch, g5, sacrificing the pawn to play bishop h5 to target the rook with the supporting of the knight, queen g7 knight f5 to target the queen, queen backs g6. How will you protect your position? Okay, queen takes pawn, then bishop to h5 will aim at your pieces, queen g8 knight h6, attacking to these pieces, check here rook g1 check, knight blocks queen g3 and that's it. The knight is pinned and the impending move of bishop to h6 will increase pressure on it, leading to a potential end of the game. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that, so back to the position, Alpha played knight f6 to block the queen line and opening up the bishop's diagonal, targeting to these pawns, h4 to target the bishop and the bishop can't move back because of g5, so after takes, the knight is protected by the bishop, queen c3 and bishop takes knight wasn't good because after bishop takes g4 the diagonal will be seized by the bishop. It's essential to keep the light squared bishop on the board to push the h-pawn. Alpha strikes the kingside with f5, bishop g5 knight ups f3 to kick out the knight can't move so he played f4, creating an outpost on e3. You shouldn't risk the knight as h6 can effectively defend the black position, you will lose advantages so after doing knight exchanges, it's time to do castle. A human player might consider a long castle, intending to open up the h-file with the rook. But knight takes e4 will target at your queen, bishop takes queen knight takes queen, takes and black will secure several advantages because of white's isolated and doubled pawns on the c-file, so back to the position I played short side castle to use the f-file. Now knight takes pawn is losing because after takes, the rook is under attack, takes. I will win up a free piece and the game will be in my hand. It is better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not, so back to the position, we have rook c7 to create a rook battery on f7, queen takes pawn rook a3 to play rook f3, king ups h5, a very critical move, black needs to play accurately, otherwise there's a risk of losing because the rook and queen can invade the h-file, so after takes the file gets opened, king run away h6 to lock the position, rook f3 is coming to add pressure to the knight with 3 pieces. After several moves we have rook g3 to play bishop takes knight, let me show you the variation, bishop takes f6 check, takes rook takes, and if you take the rook then rook takes queen will lose your position, although you can't capture the rook because of rook takes rook checkmate. Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring, so back to the position we have rook g6 to protect the knight, rook ups bishop e7 queen hides on h1, the queen h1 plan is to play queen h4 to add pressure to the knight, so 2 moves later I played queen h4 to target the knight backs knight here, however, capturing the knight too early isn't advisable, subsequent rook exchanges can lead to rook f1 check, which may end in a draw. This successfully prevents black's disadvantages, making it difficult for white to attack black's kingside, meanwhile black poses a significant threat to white's position, and the h6 pawn, so back to the position we have king g2, after a few moves, both players are striving to advance their pieces, and the game is now completely in my hand and enjoy endgame with my beautiful piano music. Chess friends, wait for your gift. Chess puzzle time, this is 120 IQ chess puzzle, solve it and comment me, I will read your comment and I will answer it, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.